Okay, let's see. What is this bright light? Oh, right in my face. Right there. That's right. Okay. This is so different. Hey, I see I have one person. Hello. Hey, Kat. Okay, cool. Yeah, I came on early just for any issues. My camera on this PC is terrible compared to my phone. But until I get to a certain amount of subscribers, I think I have to only post from my computer. So we'll work around it. But yeah, I'm excited. Follow the White Rabbit is going to be the theme for today. We're going to have to hear about that dragon dream story too today from our friend. Alexa, shuffle solfeggio frequencies.
Shuffling healing solfeggio frequencies, Mount Radio from Spotify.
Okay, good. It's going to be a minute. Turns out it's going to be tough to figure it all out. I'm trying to figure it out with Taryn, so we'll make it work. But it may be pushed back for a minute until we can grow YouTube a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited because I know Apollo was excited about the idea of those office hours and wanting it to be like direct channeling, just discussions talking about the really, really Adult Swim sacred sexuality stuff. So that could be interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. I have the yellow today. Well, let's see if something else looks good with this lighting. Blue. Purple. Okay. We got another White Rabbit synchronicity from someone else too. A friend on TikTok sent a message to Stephanie and I today with their dog named Rabbit. It was a white dog named Rabbit, died yesterday. So I was like, dang. And then she saw the live and saw the synchronicity. I was like, wow. So very interesting, keeps popping up. It's the theme of today. And I had him pull a card from the Oracle of Delphi deck to help us understand the rabbit meaning. What is it trying to tell us? And it's perfect. I got a card called the Poet. I don't know if you can see it very well. And that's supposed to be Apollo on the front. So pretty cool. But at first I was like, are you sure that was the one? And I asked the Rodsy, it's like, yes. And then I read it. I was like, it's perfect. It's all about following your intuition, your thoughts creating your reality. And so I'm like, yep, that's the one you wanted. Watch it just be you and I. It'll be the best practice ever, Kat. I thought about doing both. Like going live on on TikTok as well. Are you live on TikTok on your phone? I could. Let's try that. Okay. It's like in the view, but that's okay. You guys get to see my fancy phone. Okay. Hey, Taryn, I'm about to go on TikTok as well. Double stream. Crossing the streams. All right, live. Alexa, volume down too. Alexa, volume down. Okay. Okay, go live. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Hey, everyone. Okay. I've got 2 streams going. I think we're successful. Okay. Hey, everyone. Okay, this is my first day on both YouTube and TikTok. So 2 cameras. So thank you for switching over to YouTube already. If you haven't made the switch, please do so. And then let's get ready for Rod's practice class. So yes. Okay, I had 3 people on TikTok and 5 on YouTube. That's pretty good. Better than I was expecting. Hey, Natasha. Hey, everyone. Okay, so if you're joining me on TikTok, I have it also streaming on YouTube for my first stream over there. So we're trying to make the transition. I'll probably continue doing this, streaming on both for a few of them, and then it's going to move completely over to YouTube. Yes, it's way better on, because I'm using my phone on TikTok, and I can't use my phone on YouTube yet. There's like a subscription level, and then I can. So that's what we got to do. Hey, Sierra. Yeah, it's blurry. This is like a little Chromebook, little laptop camera. So it's no bueno. I have to upgrade it. But I think my husband has one. I'll use a better one next time. Okay. So today's theme, everyone, is the white rabbit. Because if you've been present for the last couple Rod lives, you saw that the other day I had like an epiphany. I was like, I know what I'm going to do Rods with. And it was going to be about comparing our experience here to the story of Alice in Wonderland, and comparing our experience here to Wonderland, and how all these elementals we met prove that just like in Wonderland, the flowers are conscious, the plants are conscious, the trees, the animals, like we may not be able to hear them perfectly, but they can hear us. And so I think it's worth exploring. And then so we kept having all these white rabbit synchronicities pop up in my life, in friends' lives. It just kept rippling out. And so I was like, okay, this is a big deal. We even had a weird synchronicity where, so as soon as I came up with the epiphany, I told my friends, I'm going to do the white rabbit as a theme. That's when they sent a white squirrel to the chat. And I was like, of course, what are the odds? Then that same person went home to tell her husband about the synchronicity. And he goes, wow, my favorite team just signed someone, and his name is Squirrel White. And so I thought, that's just crazy. And then wouldn't you know it, just this morning, I received yet another text with another synchronicity with the white rabbit, with a follower here who told me that her dog passed away. And I believe he was a white dog named Rabbit yesterday. And so I'm so sorry about your dog. But yeah, that is a crazy synchronicity. And she happened to be present for the live and saw my synchronicity. And so it just felt compounded. And so I wanted to really dive into that. And I asked Apollo for a card to help us kind of understand, like, what is the deal with the white rabbit? What is the message you're trying to push with this? And I got a card called The Poet. The Poet, let's see if you can see it. And that's actually supposed to be Apollo on the front. So that's Apollo on the front. And it says, inscribe, envision, write, recite. And I was like, are you sure this is the right card for this answer? And he was like, yes. So I was like, okay. And it goes, Apollo. And I was like, oh, is that why you picked it? Because it had yours to begin with? But it actually is very relevant. So no. Apollo, the interstellar poet. What a nice title. I'm sure he loves that. Is a spellbound magic maker of melodic verses. He announces, mean what you say and speak mindfully, as words are enchanting spells that conjure magic. You are entering a powerful phase of creation, shaping your own truth and forming the narrative of your story. When you dare to imagine your dreams, the universe will echo it back to you. You have infinite potential to imagine and invent the life you wish. Your mind's inspiration is a direct expression of the creative force of the universe, which means your thoughts hold incredible power. Thought forms start ripples, just like the synchronicities are rippling, that can trigger greater ramifications. In other words, the universe mirrors your wishes, so be mindful of your internal dialogue and what you ask for. Like poetry, words expressed with real feeling and intention have the power to invoke the senses and create magic. Emotion fuels the meaning of words. Without it, your exchange of ideas may be lifeless. Both the written and spoken word are like poetic spells. They have the power to inspire positive change and, unfortunately, sometimes the opposite. So think before you speak and be mindful of what you write into reality. Be flexible, adapt, and follow your intuition. If you ever feel a little out of step, intuitively listen and skip to the beat of your heart and find your ideal flow once more. Create your own rules and break them if necessary. Synchronize your natural rhythm to the earth cycles, as this is where wondrous miracles happen. If you're a morning person, make the most of this time of day. On the flip side, if you're a night owl, your magic hour and most productive time may be after dark. You may feel tested the most when you're close to a new chapter, so remain positive throughout challenging times and be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and words. Regardless of the situation, deep down, you know what to do. You've always had the gift of free will to choose your own direction. Listen to the poetry of your soul to express authentically and seek a more graceful way forward. When you trust in your ability to collaborate with the cosmos, you rise to challenges with the optimism and answers to create a harmonious life. Okay, so I was like, all right, I see where you're going with that then, Apollo. And so let's begin our practice. That is going to be the theme of today's practice. So let's start. Light your candle. I've already done my smudge with the Palo Santo. And let's begin. So do all that. I'm going to ring the bell, and then we're going to do the white light meditation. I demand release from all communication, control, and influence of my thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. I demand release from all control, communication, and influence of my thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. I demand release from all control, influence, and communication of my thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. Okay. Alrighty, let's see. You missed the first part. Oh, I'm using the Oracle of Delphi deck, which is all connected to Apollo. And I may have not mentioned it before. I have mentioned it, but you may have missed it. But I bought that deck because I learned that I have a parallel past life, but parallel life as an Oracle of Delphi. And I recently learned, because a friend of mine went to the Temple of Delphi, that temple is connected to Apollo. And so I was like, oh, we work together then. And so I've been wanting to reconnect. And so when this whole May Apollo idea came about, I was like, perfect. Let's incorporate the deck. Let's talk about Lemuria, because that's the other thing I was surprised to learn he is very attached to as well. He says it's a group project, but with Isis, Hecate, and Lilith as well, but that he is the primary project manager. He's the Gerald. He's the Gerald of the Lemuria project, it feels like. I know the picture is blurry. I'm using my little laptop camera. I'm restricted from using my phone on YouTube for lives yet. I have to hit a certain minimum of followers for that to be allowed. So it's going to be laptop for a second. So yeah, I'll work on getting a better camera for this in the meantime. Okay, so let's move on to the white light pyramid. So everyone close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. I want us to imagine a bright ball of white unity consciousness light that comes down into the room that you're in, settling right on top of you, right on top of your head, where it slowly starts to merge through your crown chakra, down your chakras, where it finds your heart space and anchors in and starts to pulse and expand with each heartbeat, slowly expanding to fill up your entire body with this shimmering white light. And once your entire body is filled, it continues to expand outwards and takes on the form of a white light pyramid that completely surrounds your body, with a peak about 20 feet above your head and the 4 points touching the ground. And I want you to imagine a beam of light that shoots upwards and downwards from your heart space and goes onwards up through the peak and onwards to connect to source, and downwards through the base and onwards to connect to the center of the earth. Within this white light pyramid that is now completely activated, we're completely protected, and we only allow truth, love, and wisdom to enter. And if you want, you can also imagine a beam of light that shoots forward from your heart space and connects to my pyramid, making us all synchronized and harmonized together. Okay. Then you can ask for physical confirmation that your white light pyramid has been activated and sense in. Mine is usually more subtle. And then you see Emily's and Stephanie's are like a zing. Sometimes I'll get a twitch, though, a twitch in my bum. Okay, so now our white light is activated. Now we can move onwards to picking up our tools, which are over here. Okay, so grab your tools, take a big drink of water, because hydration is part of it. This is body work. Body needs water. Water is life. Okay. It's so interesting. We have 9 on here and 6 on here, but it's just, usually it's a lot more popping, but whatever. This is nice and intimate. I love that you are here. This is the state in which we go from somebody to nobody to everybody. Thanks, Pyramid White Light. Oh, I love that. Okay, so like I said, today's theme, White Rabbit. We're going to call on Apollo. We're going to discuss a little bit about his poet card and see what he wants to say. Okay, so now that we've done our whole protections, we can call in the god Apollo. When you're here, please cross the rods. Yes, all right. Am I currently connected to Apollo? Yes, okay. And am I only connected to Apollo? Yes. If you get a no, start over again with the white light pyramid and call him in again. Yes, okay. So Apollo, this white rabbit thing has been happening. Yes. And it's getting louder, it feels like. Yeah. Another interesting white rabbit story that I haven't mentioned before. I tried finding the picture, but I couldn't. Was, I believe it was last year or the year before, on a birthday, I won tickets to something downtown in the French Quarter. And so we got to stay in a hotel. It was really nice. But when I was exploring one day, I saw this graffiti that really caught my eye. And it was graffiti that said, "Follow the White Rabbit." And it was just interesting timing. But it was especially interesting because it was connected to a church. It was like a St. Mary's, Mother Mary church. So it all felt connected. And I was definitely on my divine feminine awakening path. So it was like, oh gosh, the world is communicating to me. Yes. And so that's what this is. It feels like the world is communicating. There's like a feedback, clear as day. And it's interconnected with the information that the elementals gave us yesterday, which is that the more you connect with your intuition and your, like, I feels like your inner child, creativity, and nature, it's like the more it all sort of blooms for you, or rather you bloom with it. There's a blooming, both blooming sides. And so it's like, that's what this rabbit sign feels like. It just feels like not only a glitch in the matrix, which is what that feels like too, which is also interesting because Neo has to find the White Rabbit in the Matrix movies too. But yeah, that card is pretty much saying then that that noticing synchronicities is basically part of the awakening process itself. Yes. And would you say that it's true that people, like the synchronicities are getting louder? Yes. And wait, is the one, when you move only one rod, is that a different type of answer than just a simple yes? Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure. And we forgot to do that today, so let's do that. Show me a yes. Okay, thank you. Show me a no. Thank you. Show me a maybe. Mine usually freeze. Show me can't answer or answer not allowed. Thank you. Usually you're frozen for me too. Okay, so yeah, that's what the White Rabbit meant to me, and that poet card really is just reinforcement. The White Rabbit to me is a code that shows that yes, our reality is a lot more malleable than we've been led to believe. It's confirmation that yes, there is a team on the other side that has been trying to communicate. And the more that we notice these synchronicities and these forms of communication, the more they will happen. And it's like I'm noticing the ripple of this White Rabbit through multiple people, not just to me. And is that an indicator, this rippling effect, that is an indicator that we, like, it feels like an indicator that this is becoming the normal. Yes. And so, yeah, if you've had any other White Rabbit synchronicities, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Please share. But yeah. Okay. So moving on to Lemuria, because like I said, Apollo wants us to focus a lot on Lemuria this month. Yes. If you want to know about Lemuria, go and check out the previous live I did in which we channeled our Lemurian higher selves. That was super powerful. Today, I'm hoping to sort of piggyback on the elemental topics we learned yesterday and merge it with this White Rabbit following your intuition and curiosity lesson. Okay. Where was I? Okay. So, Lemuria. We learned yesterday that it's true. Our plants have personalities and consciousnesses. Yes. We even learned that flowers, just as it was depicted in the movie Alice in Wonderland, flowers can be kind of a bully. Would you say? Yes. It's the words were, don't go connecting with flowers if you don't have like a strong sense of yourself, because they will see the weakness in your facade and poke holes in it. So yeah, I don't know. Haven't connected intentionally with flowers, so I have no stories to tell. Although Stephanie can confirm that she connected with a tree once that did make fun of her. Yes. So pretty funny. Okay. So let's see. In Lemuria, is it true that the humans there lived in harmony with the elemental beings? I'm getting a yes. Hey, Steph. I'm on YouTube too. Yes. So thank you for everyone who's signing in on TikTok. Just letting you know, I'm also streaming on YouTube. I know the video quality is not as good. I promise you next time it will be. They don't allow me to stream on my phone yet on YouTube, but I will be doing it. We are going to be moving my Wednesdays and Sunday TikTok lives to YouTube. So this is going to be I'm on both right now, but it's going to move over next time. Yay. Okay. So let's see. So it's true that Lemuria had much more contact and awareness with the elementals than we do currently. Yes. And so would you say they actively worked together? Yes. One of the things I learned in the book, I keep saying it's called Women's Wisdom of Lemuria, but that's technically not the title. I think it's just called Wisdom of Lemuria, or I don't know, whatever. It's a Cryon book, Women's Wisdom of Lemuria. I'm just going to say it how it's stuck in my head. Hey, Tammy. Hey, guys. And so we learned that, where was I going with this? I don't know, my brain is all over the place. I was just, oh yeah. So in that book, it talked about how pretty much as part of the daily culture in Lemuria, women would start the day by connecting with the elementals and figuring out where the men should go and fish. Yes. And the men looked and respected these women who would tell them, because they realized it saved them so much time. Why look for fish when you can go directly to where Gaia is telling you that they are? And so it just made everything much more efficient. It also prevented issues like overfishing areas or overfishing certain species as well. There was a lot more balance. It was really cool. The Women of Lemuria. That's what it is. Thank you. The Women of Lemuria, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Times. There you go. Very, very good book. Everyone needs to read it and ask, is it in my highest and greatest good to read the book, The Women of Lemuria? I was about to say the wrong title again. So yeah. No personal questions to people on TikTok. Sorry, we're just doing rods practice. It's like a classroom sort of environment. Okay. So it was an effortless and natural connection that the people of Lemuria had with the elements. Yes. And so it was just part of their daily life, and it was just how they all functioned. But there was a knowing that women were more naturally attuned to Gaia and nature in general. Yes. But would you say that men were also capable of creating that intention back then and using it? Yes. So it's not an exclusive. Remember, we talk a lot about matriarchy when connected to Lemuria. Yes. But it's important to note that matriarchy in this regard is not the inverse of patriarchy that we have now. It is very much a not necessarily women's led. It means more matriarchal. I think of wolves whenever I think of matriarchy. Because wolves, we think of alpha male as the pack leader. But actually, even if it's a male pack leader, he's technically still a matriarchal leader, because matriarchal leaders prioritize helping the collective. And they believe that the weakest among us needs to be protected, not abandoned or given up on, but protected. And that is matriarchy. It's the idea that life is central to all all choices. And so when I say matriarchy, and please erase the idea that it means women only. It truly means balanced women and male leaders only. Yes. So that is important to understand. Let's see. Okay. So the disconnection. Well, what happened? We've learned that there was definitely a cataclysm that cut off our ties to Lemuria, yes, in Atlantis. But, it didn't did that cataclysm necessarily cut us off from the elementals? No. We're learning today that our connection to our Wonderland reality is present. And it's always been present. And you may remember a lot of our indigenous ancestors used to say some things like, hey, there's a little known thing is like animism, which is the idea that all things have consciousness and soul. And like that turned out to be true. But back then we were just like, oh, these crazy primitive people in huts telling us nonsense. What do they know? And so we're learning they knew quite a lot. And we erased it. But don't be sad about it, because we are in the process of bringing it back. Yes. Okay. So, we are having this Alice in Wonderland experience. And I haven't read the story, but I've seen the movie, and I just love the idea of comparing it to our experience here, because just like in the story, Alice comes from this more like a higher realm, right? And she drops into a lower realm. And she does this because she follows the white rabbit into that portal, right? And I like to relate that to us because we intentionally decided to incarnate here in the place we know as Earth, but we're also learning goes by other names like the underworld. Yeah. And so life in the underworld is a lot like life in Wonderland, right? When she gets to this Wonderland space, she realizes, okay, everything is a little confusing, maddening. People are kind of nuts. And angry and it's just it's a crazy place, dizzying, maddening. And we're learning that it's true that there is a sort of programmed gravitational there is a gravitational pull that will unknowingly pull you into lower vibrations, fear, sadness, despair, all that kind of stuff, anxiety. That is the normal. That's the default. That's if you're not doing anything. If you're just autopilot, you will naturally be pulled in. Yes. And, once you start to consciously anchor in joy, that's how you start to create your own gravitational pull to other timelines. So I really love this whole idea of comparing the Alice in Wonderland to our experience, because I don't want us to confuse that parallel with the idea that this is a prison planet. We have learned over and over again that is not true. And so let's ask, is it true that this reality here is considered a prison planet? No, big no. It's the truth in that telephone game statement is that when you aren't making those intentional anchors of joy and happiness in your life, you do get sucked in to this natural state, which inevitably becomes like basically a karmic hamster wheel. Yeah. Where you can go your whole lifetime forgetting that you came here for a reason. Yeah. Because you're so sucked into the gravitational pull of that forces you to forget because you're so busy surviving. And what do you mean forget? It's like, yes, we came here, we followed the rabbit into the portal to come here in order to forget who we are. And just like in the movie or the show, the story Alice in Wonderland, she also starts to forget who she is the longer she stays in Wonderland. And it brings us to my favorite character in that story, the caterpillar, who I like to imagine I am your caterpillar NPC on the TikTok social media world. Who are you? And I love that question because it's literally the most important question you need to be asking yourself. Because the more you ask that, you realize you're not just you. We're learning, just like you've seen, if you've been following for a while, that we have parallel expressions. Some aware of us, some not. And so we are multitudes. And that's just us. Then you look at how interconnected each of us are together and how we are a multitude. Humanity itself is a collective consciousness. And so, yes, these are things that were understood back in Lemurian ages. And that made life quite magical then. Yes, they did not live in fear or anxiety because they knew exactly who they were back then. They knew they were not alone in the universe because they had direct alien assistance. And I watched a nice video the other day. I'm going to repost it so you can watch it too. It's a longer one that Angie sent me that was like all about the different aliens that came to help. And it was a lot of them. It was a collective group, it sounds like, of Lyrans, Pleiadians, Syrians that all came down under the bidding of Apollo to create this human sanctuary during a time when Earth was considered very, I want to say primitive, but it makes me think like Earth was very rough around the edges at that time. It was like there were still, according to my research, there were still massive animals that like were sort of like echoes of what we consider like dinosaurs, Triceratops. And so it was a time where being a human here was rough until we had we had help and created this Lemurian whole civilization, which grew and grew. And then Atlantis was introduced. And then there was overlap between those epics, those civilizations that spanned the globe. And then a cataclysm, which took them both down. And we have been building back up from that dark age ever since. And so we are, you could say that this timeline itself that we are playing in right now is the most important one, because it's the one where we get off the collective karmic wheel for humanity. So it's super important. Okay, moving to the current shift. Okay. So it's true then, Apollo, that more people are becoming sensitive to the increasing energies, the synchronicities, the magic, basically. And the truth that this reality is not what it seems. Yes. You know, the more of us who stop looking at the prison aspect of that and that false lens and start seeing the actual magic in nature that exists, that our senses may not be able to physically perceive, but like are there perceiving us, we could make this world super, super fun. And we're seeing that. Except right now, it may look like there are more. Would you say it's true that there are more animal psychics popping up? Yes. We're also learning in the interview yesterday, the elementals are basically like, it is true that we as humans are able to now and will progressively get stronger at basically bending, earth bending, water bending, air bending, fire bending. That we are on a trajectory, and you can ask, am I on the timeline in which humans will learn how to move elements with their mind? Yes. And I ask again, am I on the timeline in which I learn to move elements with my mind? Yes. And we learned yesterday that a big, like, to find out, like, which element are you most adept to? We learned that it's true that everyone can learn to, is it true that everyone could learn to move any element? Yes. But it's also true that certain people are more adept at certain elements. Yes. And it's true that an indicator to find which element is best for you could be revealed if you look at your astral chart. Yes. And they've confirmed your astral chart is indeed sort of like your recipe book for who you are. Yeah. And the energies you carry. And so mine is very, very water and very fire. Yes. And so then, would fire and water be elements that I might more easily be able to move with my mind? Yes. So yeah. Very, very cool. So you should ask, think of your sign, think of your element and ask, like, go through all 4 of them, actually 5 of them, because there's also, ether is also an element. Yes. And so is ether something that people can manipulate with their mind too? Yes. Okay. Interesting. All right. And so when we see these synchronicities like the white rabbit, is the appropriate response to just notice them, acknowledge them? Yeah. How would we know if we're ether? That's a good question. I don't know. And I'm not even really that familiar with what ether is technically even. I just think of like, what, gas? I don't know. So are all humans, are certain people more adept at ether manipulation? Is there like, are people more adept at ether? Are there certain people who are better at ether manipulation? Yes. So I guess you can ask, am I one of the people who is more adept at ether manipulation? Okay. Something to look into. I have no idea. Okay. So Yes, it's important to notice, like, we are part of the awakening. We are literally part of the reason Lemuria is coming back now. Yes. I wore this shirt, Strive to be Better. It's one of my favorite shirts to wear around the house because it's just a message. The forest protection. It's like some kind of made in China message thing, but it's like we are a part of this ecosystem, and we don't notice it enough. And as kids, we used to a lot more. And so if you are someone out there who's looking around and you have anxiety or fear of the future and where we are headed as a whole, I was there too, and I want you to tell you the truth that I found. If you want to save the world, the best thing you can do is understand that your two weapons of mass awakening and change, yes, are going to be joy and authenticity. Joy and authenticity. Those are 1-2 punch. And I promise you, if you make that a daily commitment and intention for yourself, you will see magic and change around your reality, and it will ripple out. So, can you ask the spirit of the Prophet Muhammad with him? Yeah, if you want him to be, you can call him in. The truth is that even if you can't see it, if I were to call in anyone right now, they would appear. I can do it right now for funsies. Let's call in. Let's call in Archangel Michael. Yes. Okay. And that's this intention. It is my intention to call in Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael, will you come and connect with us? Yes. Done. And it's like, yeah, I can't see him here. Yeah. But it's like, trust that he's in the room. And if you want him, he'll be in the room with you too. It's wacky to think about. But again, it brings me back to this long table scene, like the Wonderland Tea Party scene, and the scene in the movie Hook, which I know I've mentioned a lot of times lately. But, you know, when everyone's eating that food and Peter can't see it, he's like, what the hell is everyone smoking? And they're like, you have to imagine it, Peter. And then the more he does and the more he remembers who he truly is, he starts to see it. The magic becomes real for him. And in a very literal sense, that's exactly how intuition opens up more and more the more you follow it. And so the white rabbit is your intuition. Follow it. It's your curiosity. Follow it. I mean, how long ago? 5 years ago, I was a dog groomer. I was physically wrecked from that career. I was burnt out. I was stressed. I didn't know who I was. I started following my curiosity, and I'm now a hypnotist. I'm about to hit 10K followers on here, talking about the stuff I always wanted to talk about, but was too afraid, because I was too afraid of being judged for sounding crazy or foolish. And I learned about the joy and authenticity as the weapons of mass awakening. And as a mother, I realized there's nothing that will stop me from changing the world. And if the biggest thing that was stopping me from coming on here and changing the world and speaking about my truths was my fear of being seen, well, take a look at me now. And so I feel like I'm an example of what happens when you follow the white rabbit and fully trust that the unseen forces that are giving you those synchronicities on the other side, like are your parallel selves, your divine counterparts from other lifetimes, your soul family. Yeah. The group is large that's on the other side trying to help you. Large. And so we're all about trying to learn. You see many people changing. Yes. And you are going to see many more. And you will see. And if you want to accelerate that, the best thing you can do is dive deeper into who you are and answer that question, who are you, every single day. Look at you now, a whole gang of crazies right along with you. That's right, Brienne. Can you ask if what we know, immortals or vampires, originally come from the survivors of Lemuria and Atlantis? Interesting. Okay. Do the myths we know of immortals or vampire beings? Well, first let's ask, okay, are vampires, in the way our myths describe them, as night-dwelling, blood-sucking creatures with sort of like a parasitic curse. Do those creatures truly exist? Interesting. Like, so just like the Bram Stoker type, that truly exists? Okay, I'm getting no. But something similar. Okay, interesting. Okay, so then do those creatures originally come from what Natasha is saying, our idea of Lemuria and Atlantis? I'm getting a yes, but do they come from one of them more than the other? Yes. Is it Lemuria? No. Is it Atlantis? Yes. Were they a genetic experiment? I'm getting like a sort of. They were an experiment, or they were an intended creation. Ooh. Not cool. Were they intended? Was their creation for the highest and greatest good of humanity? I'm getting a no. But I get the sense that that was unfortunately the case for a lot of the creations of Atlantis, is that there wasn't that question of being asked before doing something of whether doing so was going to be for the highest and greatest good. And so that was the whole problem. Let's see. But yeah, is it true then that immortals, or idea of immortals, descends all the way from the time that we call like the Lemurian Atlantis time? Yes. We are learning that a lot of the what would have been called priests and priestesses of Atlantis were later came to be known as gods and goddesses in the times we know as ancient Egypt and other locations too, because they were basically the refugees that went on to rebuild with anything they had salvaged, all the information and things they had salvaged. So, yes. And are some of those immortals or vampiric beings still walking among the earth with us? I'm getting a yes. Should we be concerned about these vampire beings that walk the earth with us? I'm getting a no. Is that because they pose no threat to humanity? No. Is it more so because we won't be running into them? I'm getting a yes. I don't know, but I'm just going to go with that. Let's see. Leslie says, would it be accurate to say the work Apollo and friends did with Lemuria preceded Atlantis and Enki's tampering with the Eden labs, as Emily describes, for these different human project timelines? Yeah, I feel like they were. Would you say that Enki's creation of humans was directly related to the humans involved in the Lemurian civilizations? No. I'm getting the sense that you're right, that they were sort of two different human projects. Yes. And is it true that Lemuria project predated chronologically Atlantis? Yes. Yeah. Let's see. I get that Atlantis more so as well. Experiments. They are respectful to us now. Respectful. Maybe that makes sense. Is the reason why we don't need to be worried about vampiric beings anymore because there is a new reached level of respect and like keep away. They stay away from humans or something. I'm getting a yes. Okay, so they can survive on other creatures. Yes. Okay, very interesting. But is it true that they at one point the creatures did terrorize human villages and people? Yeah, I'm getting a yes. Was it actually in Transylvania? I'm getting a yes. Interesting. Interesting. You can even ask for funsies. Do I have a parallel expression as a vampire? It's a very slow Was that like a definite yes? No. Okay, so that was more like a sort of yes. Okay, interesting. All right, let's see. So yeah, with this poet card, is it true that human perception is becoming more influential in shaping our overall experience? Yes. Blah, 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 blah. A whole new rabbit hole. Yes, a whole new rabbit hole to go down the vampire route. And you can even ask one day, is it for our highest and greatest good to one day contact and connect with a vampire being? Interesting. Are there things like is there a future timeline in which we learn about them and coexist peacefully? I'm getting a yes. Interesting. I've also been told, and let's ask again, I've also been told that werewolves, in the way that we understand them, like a human that can turn into a wolf, is that a real creature? Yes. And like they physically transform. Yes. Wild. We have to put thoughts in the ether. Okay. And you can ask again, were those also an Atlantis experiment? I'm getting a yes. And it's probably, I'm getting the truth is that a lot of what we consider like myths and magical creatures are technically experiments. And I wanted to say experiments gone wrong, but technically experiments gone right. Yep. And so we're learning that that's the case with mermaids. That's the case with, would you say that's the case with the beings we know as minotaurs? Yes. And that's another thing. I have actually been told, is it true that I have a parallel life as a minotaur? Yeah. That was a weird one to learn about. But yeah. Apparently there was more than one minotaur created, and they were created to be like creatures of war. So very interesting. I think it's picking something else if it says yes to everything. Well, that's why you can always ask. Sometimes I feel like you say yes to everything, but then like it's saying no. So then I like to ask a false question every now and then just to prove that like I'm not just creating what I want. And so I can ask like, is my name Frank? No. Am I 100 feet tall? No. And so, am I still connected to Apollo? Yes. So I too am sometimes like, that's too many yeses. But the thing with me is I find that, and you'll see with Emily, the lady who taught us this, when I'm channeling, it's sort of like, since I'm claircognizant, the thoughts come in. And so it just feels like my thoughts. And so I'll just say the thing and I'll be like, right? And it's like, yes. And so I am getting a lot of yeses because I'm like, oh, and then that? And it's like, yeah. But if I'm wrong, if I'm like, oh, so Lemuria was like full of evil people, I'm just going to say no. But if I say right, like, oh, so Lemuria was like a really loving place full of unity consciousness people, I'm just going to say yes. And so I like it because it adds like a layer of, I hope you can trust what I'm saying. I know you can easily be like, she's moving those rods. I know it. And saying no. And so I do my best to sort of, for the important questions, like really hold it still so you can tell and be like, all right, here's an important question. Is my name Frank? No. And then put them forward again. Is my name, let's make them straight. Is my name Dale? Yes. Those are the important questions out here. True Blood HBO baby, fairies, werewolves, and vampires. That's so true. No wonder we loved that show. I read all the books, and the books also had like a being who could transform into a tiger. Well, it's saying yes that character existed, but I want to know, is that a real creature that exists? Like, are there humans that can transform into other animals other than wolves? I'm getting a yes. So like Lions, yeah. Tigers. I want to say bears. Bears? Yes. Oh my. Oh my. What a wacky world. Okay. And ask, just for funsies, in this lifetime and in this body, have I ever met or run into somebody and introduced myself to someone who was a secret, I want to say animorph, but someone who could transform into an animal? I'm getting no. So have I ever run into a shapeshifter in this timeline in this life? I'm getting no. Okay. Them being experiments pique my curiosity. Yes. We're learning that Atlantis was A+ if you are grading it on innovation. A+. Like Atlantis was cutting edge. It truly was. Like the problems we have now where it's like there's no funding for the things that would be important. Like that didn't exist. And so yeah, they got shit done. But the problem was on the other end of that, there was no, like I said, there was not enough voices to be like, just because we can mix these creatures together, maybe we shouldn't. Is that ethical? Kind of a thing. So it's just interesting. One of the other creatures that I've actually had the chance of meeting through channeling that was created during Atlantean times, similar to the Minotaur. The Minotaur was created to be a war machine. Yeah. And I have met a praying mantis being from Atlantis. Yes. And it was an orchid mantis being, and it was about 3 or 4 feet tall. And it revealed itself to me the week that I was shopping for a pet for my kids. And I was torn between a praying mantis or a jumping spider. And I couldn't really decide. My kids were kind of young. So I was like, maybe not. It's not the right time. And that week when my friends and I were playing, this praying mantis showed up. And my friend was like, Dale, I think this one's for you. And I was like, this is so weird. I was just researching praying mantises. And I was like, are you here for me? Yes. I was like, are you here because you know I was researching mantises? And it was like, yes. I was like, are you here to tell me to get the mantis? And it was like, yes. So I got the mantis. Let's see, did I miss anything? Are the fallen the ones that can change shape? I don't know. When people use the word the fallen, it's a vague one. I don't know how to approach that question very well with a yes or no expected because it's still so vague. I wouldn't trust it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, you read the, I know, Tammy, you and I have the same book taste. I love it. I love it. Smart minds. Let's see. Okay, so moving forward to the end, which is basically I want us to end with our understanding and focus on the story again. When Alice gets sucked into the Wonderland and she forgets who she is and she meets the caterpillar who's like, remember who you are, right? She goes on to meet the queen, the villain, right? And the queen, we learn, is cruel and a master of illusion, right? Illusion and control and fear are her weapons. And you see that because she's painting the white roses red, which is just an interesting choice, especially when the other day the elementals Toad the white dragon was telling us all about the white squirrel, synchronicity, and the white rabbit, and how white animals in general, white things in general, are considered, he didn't like the word pure, but it was more like, I don't know, I'm thinking like multitudes. They're unique and they're meant to be unique. They're a positive sign, a glitch in the matrix. And so it's a sign of indicator that the glitches that we are trying to bring in of the Christ consciousness, or also known as unity consciousness glitch, is happening more and more. And so always think it's a positive sign when you see a white animal. It's never an accident, and you are meant to see it as this positive omen or sign. And so she escapes and goes back, not escapes. bad word. She returns to her more angelic realm from where she came from when she remembers who she is and she remembers that this is an illusion. And so that is why it's so important, these synchronicities, to take note of it. And I don't want you to anchor on to the idea of this is an illusion and that means nothing matters. That's a slippery slide. When you go into understanding, awakening, it's easy to want to fall into nihilism. Well, if everything's not real, then nothing matters. Is that true? No. We're learning that that's actually the opposite. That, yeah, okay, what we perceive as real and solid here is really made out of light and sound. Okay, so it's not as solid as we thought. But it still means that this life is extremely important and we are interconnected. And just like with Alice realizing that the queen is an idiot, not fit to lead, and is just ruling with lies and fear, we're learning the same thing here too. And so we are returning back to the knowing. And instead of going up and leaving this place to go back to the world where Alice came from, we are bringing those rules here and turning this reality into the higher realm. It was always meant to be. So we're picking up the story of Lemuria where it never should have ended and continuing it back up. And so if you want to join in on this, please go and check out the Lemurian rods practice we did the other day. Connect with your Lemurian parallel selves. Start that handshake. Change the world with us. Okay. Yes, Tammy, it sounds very familiar. And I think it's funny because even the cartoon version of the Queen of Hearts, in my opinion, she kind of looks like our president in the face. I don't like to talk, but there's a similarity, and there's just it's like a comical villain type of funniness. And so, yes, don't pay attention to that stage. Pay attention to what's really happening, which is this inner divinity awakening that is 100% happening. And you here are 100% part of it. So thank you for doing your part to change the world by healing yourself and being the main character, full of self-love and audacity and joy, because that's how we change everything. Okay, I didn't get to do the meditation. Well, let's go ahead and do it. I have a few minutes. Let's do the meditation. It's going to be like, we're just going to have Apollo do it. We have Archangel Michael here too, still technically. Is that true? Yes, he's been here. Okay, so let's do it. Alexa, volume up 2. Alexa, next song. Okay, drink water. Get comfortable. Okay. Okay, where's my meditation? Okay. All right, everyone. Let's get comfortable with this meditation. We have Apollo and Archangel Michael here. Do you both want to assist us with this meditation, this elemental grounding recalibration meditation? Yes. Okay, perfect. And do you think we need to sit in this energy for 2 minutes? Yes. Okay. All right, so we're going to do the meditation and sit for 2 minutes. Apollo and Archangel Michael are here to assist us. So even if you can't see them or sense them, trust me, they are literally close enough they can touch you. And if you ask, they will. So ask. All right. I want you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Close your eyes. Begin to feel. Your body is here. Your weight, your breath, your presence. You're not leaving this world. You're just seeing it a little differently. In your awareness, a scene begins to form. A soft, living landscape, like a forest that feels familiar, even if you've never seen it. And somewhere in that space, you notice movement. A small white rabbit. It doesn't speak. It doesn't call. It simply pauses and looks back at you. And there's no pressure here, just a quiet curiosity, a feeling that says you can follow if you want to. And as you choose to move forward, you begin to follow. As you walk, something subtle begins to change. The world feels softer, less fixed, less rigid, like a dream you're aware of, inside of, not unreal, just more flexible than you thought. And a knowing begins to rise that you didn't come here to be trapped. You came here to experience, to explore, to forget, so that remembering would mean something. As you continue forward, you begin to feel something else, a quiet connection, not just to this place, but to everything. Like there are no real edges between you and the world, just different expressions of the same thing. And the elements begin to respond accordingly. The earth beneath you, steady, holding you. The air moving gently with your breath. A warmth rising softly inside your belly. You may even call forward your dragons to fill your belly with their fire. A fluid presence, water moving all through you, not separate from you, but part of you. I want you to sit in that energy for the next 2 minutes. Okay. That was 2 minutes. Now, just sit there. Thank the rabbit for sharing all of this magic with you and introducing you to the wonderland that is your reality. Now, as you say goodbye, the rabbit turns and slowly disappears. But the feeling doesn't leave. You begin to return, bringing that awareness back with you into your body, into this moment, into this life. And so I want you to say, I am not here to escape the world. I am here to experience it and remember who I am while still inside of it. Okay. Apollo, Archangel Michael, would you say that that went successfully and that we correctly got the activations we needed today? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Does doing that kind of a meditation help increase synchronicities? Yes. It helps align us and ground us. That was a big fast yes. To our highest and greatest timeline. I'm getting a yes. Daily connection in general is part of that, yes. But if you're daily connecting to the elements and to your own intuition and curiosity like that, that would be like a fast track. Yes, hyperspeed. So anyways, yes, that was lovely. Thank you all for being here. Yeah. Okay. So then you thank the beings to close out the practice. Thank everyone. Thank you, Apollo. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you to all of you who were present for the TikTok and YouTube lives. Remember, I'll be moving my Wednesday and Sunday 1 p.m. lives over to YouTube. No longer on TikTok. TikTok will still have the Tuesdays and Thursdays schedule, but my Wednesday and Sunday is moving to YouTube. We're also in the process of growing the YouTube and wanting to do membership-based office hours in which we can dive even deeper into rod troubleshooting practice in a more intimate group, and even some sacred sexuality talk with channeled messages about that subject from beings like Apollo. And when I tell you how excited he was about that topic, yes, like he was like, yes, you need to have a sacred sexuality, because yes, the truth is that you can call these beings that are aware of us and here for our highest and good, you can call them in anytime, even in the bedroom. And that's its own separate thing that we would like to explore, of the whys and what ifs about that. So if that is something you're interested in, please message me and we will get the interest built on this office hours group. We also still have just a couple tickets left for the event on Friday at 8 p.m. That's this Friday, May 1st. We have our first part for the Cosmic Union series. And in which it's going to be basically the divine couples of the Council of Nine will be talking together and sharing a lot of the topic I just mentioned, sacred sexuality. Yes. One of the topics Apollo especially wanted me to ask him about was specifically, I'm just going to say it, was it about the clitoris? Yes. He says I need to get over saying that in public, so I'm facing a fear by doing so. And he wanted to examine the relationship and the comparison between our vocal cord anatomy and our female genitalia anatomy. Yes. And that there's a reason, there's a specific reason why they look alike. Yeah. And so he wants to go into that. So that will be a topic that he gets to cover at this Friday at our event. It's a 2-part series, so please register for one or both of them. Okay, and I think that's it. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, for Rod's practice on TikTok at 1 Central Time, and then 8 p.m. Central. We are also having Lilith 2.0 interview, and she wants it all to be about the relationship and history of dragons and aliens. Yeah, because she tells me it wasn't always rainbows and happiness, that there have been a lot of friction between them, and there has been an evolution of their relationship. So we're going to learn about all of that. So I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. on here about that interview. I'm so excited. It's going to be epic, but they all are. If you are new to us and you are like, I want to find out about all this stuff, I can't believe I just found her, you're in luck. Go over to my YouTube, and where Taryn, our lovely friend, has been able to move all of our content over so you can easily keep track of which videos you've watched. So please go check it out. Okay, I think that's it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I am going to try and be better, Natasha, about trying to clip out the meditations and make it a separate post. It's just, I keep forgetting, but I need to. Okay. I think that is it. All right, guys. Time to go. And Mom, thank you again. Go have a magical day and spread the magic everywhere. Bye, guys. Okay, TikTok over. Bye, guys. Thank you again, and I love you. Mwah! And